A school librarian surveyed 80 randomly selected students about their favorite type of book. The results are shown in the table. Based on the results in the table, which type of books make the statements about a randomly selected student true? Move the correct answer to each box. Not all answers will be used. All right, let me write down my RAISE strategy here. We're going to read, ask, look at information, strategies, and then execute our plan. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and read the statement because in this case, the statement almost is the question. So the student is more than twice as likely to prefer blank as to prefer blank. The student is equally likely to prefer action as to prefer nonfiction or blank. Okay, well, there's a lot to think about here. This is kind of a high-level thinking question. Let's see. We've read the problem. I'm going to go back and read it again and look for important information and some academic vocabulary. So a school librarian surveyed 80 randomly selected students. Okay. Let's see. Based on the results, which type of books makes the statement true? So we're looking for true, not false. That's important. Sometimes they say which one wouldn't make it true. Here we want to know which one would make it true. Move the correct answer to each box. The student is more than twice as likely. That's important. Okay, the student is equally likely. Okay, so let me write more than 2 times and then equal. I'm also going to circle the word or here because that means we're going to add the nonfiction to some other category and we're going to compare the sum of those 2 categories to action. Okay, so we're going to be comparing that. And then up here at the top, I also want to draw some attention to some academic vocabulary. The word random means that there wasn't really a plan in which students they were going to talk to. They just talked to the students in a random fashion so that they would know that that sample of students represents the school as a whole. That makes it a good tool for estimating, which is really what we're doing here. All right, so let's dig into this. The student is more than twice as likely to prefer blank as to prefer a blank. So let's see. I want to know what twice of these different values are. Let's see. What if I did 24 times 2? That would be 48, right? So a number would have to be more than 48 for it to be more than twice as likely as action. What about 14 times 2? That's 28. You know what? There's not any answers this big, right? There's not any other values on this table that have numbers like as big as 28 or 48. So these are, I can basically eliminate action and mystery. 15 times 2 is 30. 9 times 2. Now this could work. 9 times 2 is 18. And then 18 times 2 is 36. Well, in order for it to be more than twice as likely, it would have to be greater than one of these products that I just found, right? So the only one here that has potential is this one. Because the number of nonfiction multiplied by 2 is equal to 18. So I just need a value that is more than 18, right? So what I'm saying is if I'm looking for something that's more than twice as likely as nonfiction, all I need is something bigger than 18. None of the other rows in the table would have worked because when I doubled the other rows, I got values that were too big. There wasn't a comparable value on the table that would be more than twice that. But there is for 18, right? We have a value that's more than 18. That's 24. 24 is 18, is greater than 18. So I could say that action is more than twice as likely as nonfiction. So let's fill that in down here. The student is more than twice as likely to prefer action as they are to prefer nonfiction. And that's because 9 times 2 is less than 24. 24 is greater than 9 times 2. It's more than the nonfiction number multiplied by 2. Great, so we are halfway done. Now let's think about the next statement. It says the student is equally likely to prefer action as nonfiction or something else. But let me clear some space out here so we have some thinking room. So let's see, what is our value for action? Our value for action is 24, right? 24 kids chose action. So let me get my number for nonfiction. It was 9. So I need 24 to equal 9 plus some number. So 24 minus 9 is 15, right? That would make it equal. 9 plus 15 is equal to 24. So nonfiction and some other category together would be equal to action. if that other category has 15. So let's look at our table, see if we can find 15. Fantasy. There we go, 15. 15 students chose fantasy. So we could say that the student is equally likely to prefer action as they are to prefer nonfiction or fantasy. Nonfiction plus fantasy equals 24, and action equals 24. So this would be a true statement. So let's just reflect on how we used raise here. First, we read the problem. Then we said, what is this asking us? Then we looked at our important information. We chose a strategy, and in this case, our strategy was to use the table to compare the values, right? So we really used that table a lot. And looking at our answer choices, these are reasonable. We know that action is, in fact, 24 is greater than 9 times 2. And we know that 24 is equal to 9 plus 15. So we can say that we have evaluated our work, we've executed our plan, and it is reasonable.